Have you ever been in an argument? That kind where you can feel the blood pumping and you are just 100% absolutely unshakably certain that you are right? You're dropping facts, you're laying down logic, you feel like a master debater in the trial of the century, and then you win. The other person goes silent, or maybe even admits you're right. It feels incredible, doesn't it? But have you ever, just a little while later, when the adrenaline wears off, sat there alone and had a tiny nagging thought creep into your head? Hold on, was I maybe a little bit wrong? Or even worse, you realize you didn't win because you were right, you won because you were just better at being stubborn. Welcome to the gym for your brain, where today we're not lifting weights, we're lifting our awareness by dissecting two of the most classic glitch-in-the-matrix moves our human brains pull on a daily basis. The double standard, also known as the rules for thee, not for me policy, and its slippery cousin, moving the goalposts, or the art of changing the rules mid-game so you can never, ever lose. Our brain, it's an incredible machine. It can calculate the trajectory of a spacecraft. It can compose timeless symphonies. But when it comes to everyday social logic, it is shockingly lazy. It wasn't programmed for absolute truth. No, it was programmed for survival. And in the human social world, survival sometimes just means looking right. And to look right, our brains have an entire arsenal of cheat codes. Let's start with the all-time favorite, the double standard. It sounds fancy, but it's dead simple. It's a set of rules that only applies to other people. You, on the other hand, get a free pass. It's like you have an invisible get-out-of-jail-free card for your own behavior. Let's take the workplace. It's Monday morning, you're 15 minutes late. When your boss gives you that look, you say, "I'm so sorry, the traffic was an absolute nightmare. There was an accident on the freeway. I did everything I could." In your mind, you are a victim of circumstance, a silent hero who battled incredible odds just to get to the job you love. You're dedicated. But that afternoon, your coworker Bob is 15 minutes late for a meeting. What's your instant gut reaction? Classic Bob. Probably overslept, so unprofessional, can never manage his time. See that? The exact same action, being late. But when it's you, the cause is external, traffic, accident. When it's Bob, it's his character, lazy, unprofessional. This is the fundamental attribution error in psychology, and it's a perfect symptom of the double standard. We judge ourselves by our intentions and our circumstances, but we judge others purely by their actions. You were late because you were stuck in traffic. Bob was late because he is a late person. Our ego remains perfectly protected. This little trick shines brightest in our dating lives. A guy dates 3 people at once. He's exploring his options, living his best life. He's a player. But a girl does the same thing? Oh, she's not serious, messy, has commitment issues. Or vice versa, depending on who's judging. The rules always morph to defend who we want to defend, which is usually ourselves. We're the people on our team. You ghost someone after a few dates because the vibe was just off and you had to protect your energy? That's self-care. But when you get ghosted, what a cowardly, immature move. How hard is it to send a 30-second text? You see, when you do it, it's a psychological defense strategy. When it's done to you, it's a moral failure. It even happens with the smallest habits. You spend 3 hours scrolling TikTok? No, I'm not addicted. I'm researching algorithms, staying current with cultural trends, and decompressing after a long day. But your best friend does the exact same thing? Dude, you're addicted to your phone. You're wasting your life on stupid videos. Why do we do this? Because admitting that we are just as messy, just as undisciplined, or just as selfish as the people we criticize is uncomfortable. Setting up a double standard is like building a fortress around our fragile ego. Inside that fortress, we're always the hero. We always have a good reason. Everyone else on the outside has to play by a much stricter rulebook. It's easier. It hurts less. But if the double standard is the defense, moving the goalposts is the offense. This is an even subtler move, usually deployed when you're cornered and losing an argument. Instead of admitting defeat, you simply change the definition of winning. Imagine you're playing soccer. You dribble past 3 defenders, face the goalie, and kick a perfect shot into the net. You celebrate, but the other player just points to a different corner of the field and says, "No, scoring there doesn't count. The real goalpost is way over there." That is exactly what happens in an argument when someone moves the goalposts. The classic example from pop culture, the true fan debate. You say, "I'm a huge Star Wars fan." The other person, with a smug look, asks, "Oh, really? Then what's the species name of Salacious B. Crumb, Jabba the Hutt's little pet creature?" Let's say you're a proper nerd and you actually know. You reply, "Of course, he's a Kowakian monkey lizard." You think you've won, right? Wrong. The goalpost instantly moves. Okay, book smarts are one thing, but a real fan would have read all the now-defunct Legends comics. You see, the target went from knows about Star Wars to knows an obscure trivia fact to has read a massive and non-canon body of work. The goalpost will always be moved to a place you can't reach just so the other person can maintain their status as the more knowledgeable one. In the workplace, this move is even more toxic. Your boss says, "This marketing plan, it just lacks some creative spark." So you go back to the drawing board. You add stunning visuals, a catchy slogan, a viral video campaign. You present it again. Your boss nods. It's more creative, I'll give you that, but now it feels like it lacks strategic depth. Can you show me the 5-year market penetration forecast for this slogan alone? Boom! The goalpost just moved from creativity, a fairly abstract concept, to a 5-year financial forecast, a completely different, highly specific, and nearly impossible immediate request. The original complaint has been abandoned. Your target was changed mid-mission. You can never win. In personal relationships, it's even more hurtful. "You never listen to me." "Yes, I do. Yesterday you said you were stressed about your presentation, so I cooked dinner and cleaned the whole apartment so you could relax." That's a clear, actionable example of listening and responding. But the goalposts are already on wheels. Okay, you did the thing, but you didn't emotionally listen. You don't really get what I'm feeling about my complicated relationship with my mother. The definition of listen was just changed to a vague, unprovable concept of emotional listening. It's a trap. No matter what you do, the other person can always claim, "That's not what I really meant." Why do we move the goalposts? Fear of losing. Losing an argument doesn't just feel like being wrong about a fact. To our ego, it feels like a character flaw, a drop in status. Moving the goalposts is an emergency escape hatch for a threatened ego. The goal is not to find the truth. The goal is to not be wrong. So there they are, our 2 logic busters. The double standard, where you are the exception to every rule, and moving the goalposts, where you rewrite the rules on the fly to win. These aren't just cheap tricks used by trolls on the internet. They are the pre-installed bloatware on our brain's operating system. I use them, you use them, we all use them, whether we realize it or not. So what's the problem? The problem is that these mental shortcuts destroy trust. They erode the foundation of any healthy communication. If you are talking to someone where the rules are always changing to benefit them, or what applies to you doesn't apply to them, then you're not having a conversation. You're in a performance. You can't build a relationship, a team, or a society on performances. It breeds resentment, cynicism, and exhaustion. So is the point of this video to turn you into some kind of logic cop, running around yelling, "Aha, double standard," at everyone? No, please don't. Nobody likes that person. The point is self-awareness. The real win in an argument isn't making the other person shut up. The real win is when both people walk away closer to the truth, or at the very least, closer to understanding each other. And that sometimes requires the single most difficult act for the human ego: admitting it. Admitting you have a point. Admitting maybe I was being too harsh. Or even, you know what, I was wrong. So the next time you find yourself in an argument totally convinced you're 100% right and the other person is a complete idiot, just take a second. Ask yourself one question. Are you arguing to find what's true, or are you just trying to prove that your goalpost is the only one on the field?